embarrassed if she got a card from someone and she hadn't sent one first. So sweet.
So it's about time. So let's get started. I'm Karen Hott with Two Bridges College Consulting. I'm here with Claire Law, who was at University of California, Irvine, my teacher for navigating the financial aid network. She did a great job, really instilled in me the importance of considering the financial aid piece when you're making this kind of an investment. So Claire, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Yes, I am so pleased to be here with Karen because she has such an appreciation for the affordability variable that is so important and can overshadow other variables such as the academic fit, social fit. If you don't have the financial fit, a lot of the other variables are pointless. So it really is important to plan. And there are so many variables in this process that is not very clear. It's not transparent. It's just looking at the man behind the curtain, just like in The Wizard of Oz. You don't know who's behind that curtain. It can be complicated. There is a lot of alphabet soup that parents are scared about. So I'm just going to give you a little less alphabet soup right now, just to give you an overview, a 360-degree overview of financial aid. And it's broken down in many, many ways, by source, by type, on the basis of need or merit, and what is the vehicle that you, the student, and the parents receive it. So there are many sources of financial aid. The government aid, the federal financial aid, is the first type of financial aid that a college will look at for you. It's not money that comes out of their coffers. It comes from the federal government. Your student can take that aid to any college he or she chooses. And by that, I mean, if your student is eligible for a subsidized direct loan in first year, chances are he'll be eligible for that at other colleges. If he's eligible for a Pell Grant, he can take that Pell Grant and spend it at any other college. Of course, many students are not eligible for the Pell Grant because you have to be living pretty close to the poverty line. So most of my students qualify for federal loans. Otherwise, the rest of government aid is need-based. And to demonstrate a financial need in the eyes of the federal government is pretty hard. But they do have some pretty sweet loans that compete very well with commercial loans. They have many more repayment options, are more flexible. Right now, during COVID, they are in a payment pause. And so no payments and interests accrue on those loans. You will never find a bank loan that gives you that. So the first line of aid that a college looks at is the federal aid, for which you file the FAFSA. The private aid that can come from the college or university is, you can obtain it by filing the CSS profile through the College Board. And the CSS profile is far more invasive in terms of what they require of you than the FAFSA. Private colleges such as Duke, Wake Forest, all the Ivies, all of the elite universities will ask for the CSS profile before they will give you money from their institution. And then you have funding from the school itself, from the college at the admissions level. And sometimes that is need-based, and sometimes it's pure merit-based. So I tell my students that grades and test scores are like money in the bank. We all want gifts. There is some aid that is self-help. It's classified as self-help because the student has to earn the money to receive the help. For example, federal work study is a form of self-help. The student has to find a job on campus that's designated as federal work study in order to earn that money. Another form of self-help are the loans for undergraduate students. Another source of self-help are the loans for parents. The Parent Plus loans stands for parent of undergraduate students. So all of these sources of aid can become confusing. Obviously, families have to assess what they can afford for college in a realistic rather than in a wishful thinking way, and then have to limit the amount of borrowing so that they're not borrowing excessively. It's probably okay for your student to take out $5,500 in first year, $6,500 in second year, and $7,500 in third and fourth year, for a total of $29,000 by the time they graduate. Because studies are showing that students are repaying these loans, that they can repay it if they graduate and get a degree, and that the payments, if extended over 10 years, are doable every month. The monthly payment is doable.
I have a question. Sylvia asked, with work study, if the student does not work enough to earn all the money allotted in the given work study, what happens to the rest?
It just,
They don't get it.
they don't get it. That's the issue. Yeah. Yeah. So federal work study is a joint venture with the government and the college. They both are chipping in to create this fund, which is called Federal Work Study. And the number of hours that the financial aid administrator awards a student is what it is. It cannot exceed the number of hours. The student can only work up to that number of hours that the financial aid administrator has established. If the student does not work those hours, I've had students who were working in the cafeteria, cleaning tables, and didn't like it. So they did not earn all of their federal work study. And so the money was just left in the pockets of the college. I think it's good to have federal work study because it really tells students that they have a responsibility to contribute to their education. Parents are paying a pretty big dollar, and it's good for students to take some responsibility and have some skin in the game. And they can do so by helping out with even just a part-time job, not that they should work so many hours that they can't do their homework and do well in school. But even if they were to take a 10-hour-a-week job during the school year, unless they're athletes, they could probably do it and earn some pocket money. So this is kind of a breakdown of financial aid. And what we wanted to talk about tonight, Karen and I felt that many families have received their award letters from colleges, and we wanted to talk about the format in which these award letters are sent out to parents. So
I just wanted to say that I know you guys can't see this, but I will be sending this to you, or you could access it yourself. It's college financing plan at ed.gov, but I'll be sending it to everybody on the list, and we have some zoomed in things. But this is the plan that the government is asking colleges to use. But as you'll see from the award letters that we're going to present tonight, they don't. They make it very hard to see what it is you're going to pay. So
exactly.
We're going to.
Exactly
your
so,
turn.
Karen. Yeah, exactly so. This is a very logical sheet that if you knew nothing about how to compare apples with apples, you could fill out a sheet like this for each college and you would understand who is giving you what and what is a good fit financially as well. So the Department of Education has designed this form with the tuition and fees, housing and meals, books and supplies, transportation, and other educational costs. So the tuition and fees and housing are fixed costs once the student selects the meal plan. And books and supplies can change because students can buy them online or can resell them or buy them used or even download them for a lot less money. So we're actually getting to the point where we can save money on books, which is great. Transportation, yes.
I just wanted to say that the books, the cost of your books can vary also depending on your major. An English major can find lots of used Shakespeare's for next to nothing. But if you're majoring in accounting or econ or one of these science classes that demand you have the most up-to-date book in hand, it's going to cost you a lot.
Like the 700 pages biology book.
Yes.
Which the professor keeps updating every year. So you have to buy the new version.
Right.
So the transportation is another category. These are indirect costs and they're dependent on how the student spends money. So that's more dependent on lifestyle. But transportation, I mean, if your child is going to school in, say, Chicago, and you live in Maryland or South Carolina, like I live in South Carolina, then you have to plan and budget for those flights, which are usually more expensive during holidays. And so the financial aid administrator can give you what they call a student budget. So this is called student budget, but it's not like they can design a student budget for each student. So if you find that you're spending a lot more, and this is a school that fills your demonstrated need, you could probably ask for a little more money. And the colleges with deep pockets will probably give it to you. Now, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you to explain the difference between direct costs and indirect costs. The direct costs are kind of the fixed costs that you're going to be billed for, and the indirect costs, I guess I'll go ahead and explain it. The indirect costs are the ones that you have some control over, like your travel expenses, your personal expenses. That's all I wanted to say.
You could have students who go to Starbucks 3 times a day and run up a bill. So those are indirect costs. Mm-hmm. Now, the best thing about this sheet that Karen is going to send you is this middle part right here. Look at this, expected family contribution based on FAFSA and based on institutional methodology. So when you file the FAFSA, you receive a student aid report. And on that student aid report, right on page 1, you'll see a number like 003945. That means you have an expected contribution of 39,405, which is a minimum amount that colleges will require you to pay because they don't fill 100% of need. Most of them don't anyway. And then they also ask the college to write in your expected contribution, your family contribution, based on an institutional methodology. Meaning, what is this college going to cost you? Now, colleges like Middlebury, Colgate, Hamilton, I mean, so many of them use an institutional methodology which considers the equity in your home as available funding for college, expects a contribution from the student, whether or not the student earned it. It expects business equity to be available to fund college. It expects working farms to be something that could help with paying for college. So as far as we're concerned, I think Karen feels the same way as I do, that parents have every right to control where their resources go and how they spend their money, regardless of what a college tells you that you have to pay in order to send your kid there. You do have to have an idea for what is your affordable family contribution. And that means you look at your budget, you look at what you've saved, what's possible for you to borrow, And then you come up with an amount that you could probably pay every 4 years.
I have a new question. And it's so IM, meaning institutional methodology, will only appear on award letters from private schools, correct? Well, we would hope that they would, but they don't always show it. That's what one of the things that upsets me about the way colleges present their awards is they aren't transparent. And what we're trying to do, what the government was trying to do with this form and what we're trying to do in teaching this is to make it so you can have a standard form to lay one next to the other and say, this is what this college is compared to this college.
Exactly. And it's okay for you as a consumer of higher education to ask your college, how am I being assessed under the institutional methodology? It's perfectly respectable for you to ask the financial aid administrator, what do they consider your FAFSA EFC under the federal methodology? And you can say, I am looking at the college financing plan. That's going to give them a wake-up call, but you have to say it respectfully, because some financial aid administrators will take offense otherwise. And I've seen some parents who were very diplomatic, very respectful, and got what they needed. But it's perfectly okay for you to say, I'm looking at the college financing plan and I'm trying to complete it. And under the expected contribution, I didn't see this information on the award letter. And they have to tell you, because it's now the FAFSA. If you pay attention to your student aid report that will come to you, if you pay attention to the last page of the FAFSA before you click submit, there'll be a number. There is no $sign in front of it, but there'll be a number that will tell you, this is what we calculated to be your minimum amount to contribute.
And that would be the same for every school, the FAFSA EFC. And how do you know if you have an IM? If you filled out a CSS profile for that school, they're using institutional methodology.
That's
and if
right.
you are a blended family or you've separated and remarried, they're going to ask for financial information from every parent and step parent. So taxes from 4 different people.
So they will give you institutional money, but they want to see what every member of the family, the divorced or separated spouses and their significant others are making. Now, the question was, are only private colleges using the CSS profile? Well, over the last 5 to 7 years, some major private universities have started using the CSS profile. So these are University of Michigan, University of Virginia, UNC Chapel Hill. There are several others that never in a million years would have used the profile, but now do. And
you said privates, but you meant publics.
Public, yeah, all of these. University of Michigan are, thank you, Karen. The University of Michigan is a public flagship institution for the state of Michigan. And so they're going to give you money, but they're really going to make sure that you have provided your share of contribution to the best of your ability. And that's where the controversy arises, because what you think is the best of your ability is not what the formulas and the colleges think is to your best of your ability. But in the final analysis, we don't just live to pay for college. We are also needing to save for retirement. We may have other children coming up the line to go to college. They may have special needs. You know that maybe your second child may need a school that has a program for kids with learning disabilities. Maybe it's on the spectrum. Whatever it is, you know what you know. And regardless of what the college says, you have the right to spend your money any way you want. And that's why you work with Karen so that you have a nice, diverse college list and you have more choices in the end. Another beautiful thing about this financial aid award, that the scholarships and grants are put here and then the net cost is subtracted. So here's the cost of attendance. You will pay your contribution and then you have your grants. It could be federal Pell Grant, it could be institutional grant, need-based grant. If you apply to any of the Ivies or some of the little potted Ivies, they will meet quite a bit of your demonstrated needs. So this is all gifts, and the scholarships, the merit scholarships. These are your kids working hard, getting good grades and test scores. The more high performing they are, the more scholarships they'll get. So now you have the cost of attendance minus the gift aid, minus what you're expected to contribute, would have to be your net cost.
Mhm.
So
So what I really, she's showing you the top half right now of that form. What I really love about it is that it does not confuse loans with gifts. And so many of the colleges will put loans in with gifts to make it look like you're paying less. But as we all know, loans have to be paid back. So you're going to go on to the second half. Here's the second half. We start with the net price, and then you've got the loan options and the work options. And Claire, I'm going to let you explain it. I've got the amounts filled in on the samples
yes, so
for the subsidized and unsubsidized.
so your child can borrow $5,500 in first year. If you demonstrate, if the family demonstrates financial need, then $3,500 of that will be subsidized, which means the government will pay interest on the loan. And it should be broken down, your award should be broken down as to whether that $5,500 in first year is subsidized or unsubsidized. If you don't like the Parent Plus loan, which is a federal loan, some colleges work with certain lenders, certain banks. I used to work for a Sallie Mae lender, would have loved to have had my company's name next to the private loan. But I can tell you that you will not find such good terms with loans as you can with federal loans. With a federal loan, you don't have any debt to income ratio examination. They're just making sure that you don't owe federal, state taxes, that you haven't declared bankruptcy, and that you don't have unpaid loans that you've defaulted on. Other than that, see, you can borrow up to the full cost of education, which is kind of dangerous because you cannot buy more of a house than you can afford. You cannot buy more than a car than you can afford, but you certainly can buy as much college as you want because of the fact that the Parent Plus loan will give you up to the full cost of education.
So currently the federal direct unsubsidized loan rate is 2.75, and it's been paused for a year. It's going to be paused until September, I believe, on on paying that back, but it's a great rate. The federal plus, the plus loan for parent, the interest rate is higher. It's 5.3% currently.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you just, and if the borrower dies, the loan is forgiven, which wouldn't be the same with a private loan.
Right.
And in order to beat this Parent Plus loan in terms of interest rates, you would have to have an excellent credit rating, like 800 and above. And then you probably don't have any problems qualifying for the Federal Plus. So the other work options of self-help are on-campus jobs that are not designated as federal work study. That's another way for students to help and take responsibility towards their education. Some employers have income share agreements where they work and the employer will pay something. The federal government under the Obama administration came out with the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is a credit dollar for dollar to parents. So if you're paying $5,500, if you're paying anything for college this year, next year when you file your taxes, you will qualify to receive, you may qualify to receive up to $2,500 by claiming the American Opportunity Tax Credit. I think it phases out at 180,000, but it is an incredibly helpful plan because it is a credit. And then the 529 plans allows you to set aside money for your child tax-free and pay it to the government. And that's even better because it's untaxed money that with which you're paying for qualified higher education expenses. And there are some workarounds right now. If grandma saved $20,000 and pays grandson's tuition, then that results as untaxed income to the student and is assessed at 50%. So the workaround is for grandma to give the 529 to the parent, and then it will be assessed at a lower rate of 5.64%. Now, starting in 2023-24, regardless of who owns that 529 plan, it will be assessed at 5.64%. So regardless of whether it's Uncle Joe or Auntie Emmy who owns the 529 plan, it will be assessed at the parent asset rate of 5.64%, which is a lot better. So if you are depositing $10,000 from a 529 plan, if it's untaxed income to the student, then $5,000 goes into the expected contribution. If that 529 is considered an asset of the parent, then only $564 will be assessed as available funding for college. So there's a huge difference, and I'm sure many parents will take advantage of that. And then you've got the prepaid tuition plans, which depends on where you live, and even some of them can also be used for out-of-state colleges. So this is the beautiful financial aid award letter that Karen and I are just in love with, and cannot understand why colleges will not use it. Come on.
Well, yeah, if you want to be cynical, you can understand why they don't use it, because this really makes it clear. So the problem with this form is that it's a PDF. I don't know why they didn't make a editable document, but I did. I took this and I made it into a Word document. If you're good with Excel, you could probably put it in Excel, but I'm not good with Excel, so I just use this and a calculator. So you can see here, this was, I don't have the actual award letter, but I do have the amounts that I put in. So this is for Goucher for next year. Tuition and fees, $48,200, room and board, $15,500, books and supplies, $1,200. They estimated $1,200 for transportation, but this is a Maryland student in Maryland, which is where Goucher is. Probably won't need to spend that much on transportation. Other education costs were estimated at $1,600. That includes personal expenses. This young woman got a scholarship from Goucher for $30,500. So that was $15,250 for each of the 2 semesters. Plus she got an institutional grant of $10,000 per year and another grant. I'm not sure where that came from, but it was another $1,500. So you can see that the net cost, you take the cost of attendance up at the top, which was $67,700, subtract the scholarships and grants of 30, 500, 10, and 1,500. And the cost of attendance for this student comes out to $25,700. Now we look at the loans because we want to say, okay, I can take out loans, but that's a separate issue. I have to pay back loans. This student qualified for the full subsidized amount. Someone with a higher EFC wouldn't get the subsidized loan. They would get all unsubsidized. So she qualified for all of the $3,500 a year for the first year, plus the unsubsidized $2,000 a year. She did not get work study at this institution, but she plans to work either on campus or close by off campus. That's not a given though. The one thing we know for sure is that after the gift aid, her family is going to be obliged to pay $25,700 a year. And it'll probably go up by, what is it, about 3% a year? Yeah, so she can take out the loan. Claire, I know, recommends that the student take it out in her own name so that she establishes credit, gets the habit of paying off a loan. It's better that the student be the one who's responsible for that. Would you agree, Claire?
Yes, it's definitely less expensive than for the parents to borrow. And studies are showing that if students take out those little bits of loans, the parents end up borrowing less or in year 3 and 4.
So I just love this because this family can take the numbers and plug them in. Claire's got a really nifty Excel spreadsheet where you put all the colleges on one sheet, but this is still helpful because you can take the numbers, you can plug them in, and we can see, okay, what you're going to see for each of these financial aid awards is that every student gets the $5,500 in some form or another, whether it's all subsidized or all unsubsidized or partly subsidized or however it works out. But this is your net cost. You can take out loans to help pay for that. Let's see, we've got a couple of questions. I don't know the EFC, and yes, the awards were renewable. So this would be providing she kept up 3.0 or whatever the grade point average was. I was not privy to the EFC. They didn't want to share that with me. I don't have EFCs on any of these. I kept it very, oh, I got a raised hand. Okay, Jackie B, not my mom. Okay, you raised your hand. Oh, I can allow her. Can I make you talk? I can let you talk. Oh, good. Hi. Hi, Jackie. Can you, let me unmute you. Ask to unmute. I have to ask to unmute you.
Oh, there we go. Is that
Hi.
good?
Yes,
Hi.
excellent.
I enjoy it. This is very helpful. And my question, before going further with the sample letters, the Parent Plus loan, is that like going through Sallie Mae for a loan, or what is Parent Plus loan?
Claire's going to answer that.
Yeah, it's not a private loan. It's a federal parent loan for undergraduate students. And it's like when I worked for Sallie Mae Lender, that was in the 90s and early 2000, and banks could take federal money, federal loan, and lend it to families. And loans were more costly because there was a middleman. Now the government gives the money directly to the school on behalf of the student, so it's cost less. And And so the Parent Plus loan is available to parents of undergraduate students. Then there is the Graduate Plus loan for grad students, which is slightly less expensive. But the Plus loan is very highly utilized by parents.
Oh,
Yeah, but there's no middleman. Is that what you're saying, Claire?
Yeah.
Right. So it's probably better to go through the Parent Plus loan than through a bank.
mhm. How do you apply for it directly?
The school certifies you. So let's say that you get this award letter right here. They're giving you, so Loyola is giving this student a scholarship, a grant. We don't know if it's need-based or merit-based. Here is the federal direct loan, right? Now they call them direct, meaning federal direct. That's the name of it. The loan is called direct, and it's unsubsidized. So there was no need. Half of it will be dispersed in the fall, and the other half will be dispersed in spring semester for a total of $5,500. That's a student. Now, what they've done is, oh, I see, they've given them the Loyola grant, but it's contingent upon residing on campus. If you
All
change
4 years.
Yeah, if you change your enrollment status, your financial aid may change.
Oh,
And this sometimes is called front loading because they're giving you something good in first year, but there are so many contingencies that you end up paying more in second and third year. So here they have the direct charges, the tuition, room and board, and total. And then, so the total direct charges are $68,230. They've given the student financial aid, excluding federal work study. Maybe they can't guarantee that, or sometimes they just don't have the work study jobs, but they're subtracting the Loyola scholarship and the grant. And then they're saying that they're giving you aid. And does that aid include a loan? And so
It does.
Yeah, so
It does. I checked on that.
Yeah, so the balance due is $33,730. That's what the parents are going to have to pay. It includes the EFC and the gap, whatever wasn't funded. I cannot read this because I have I can.
It says, yeah, I actually have those numbers on the form that I filled out for Loyola.
Yes.
So it's easier to see on that.
Yeah, let me just.
I think we have first a couple of other letters just to show people. Okay, so this was Ohio Wesleyan. We don't need that. Go
Loyola of Maryland. Okay, let me get Loyola of Maryland, because you did a good job on that. Let me just pick it out.
Oh, we've got more questions. Goody. Okay. So, okay, we don't know the EFC. Are the awards renewable? Yes, providing they are providing you keep up your grade, keep a full schedule, those kinds of things. There was actually, the parent sent me a whole full tiny typed page of it, of the things they have to do. Was she gapped? Yes, she was. So that gap was that amount. Now that was for a different school.
The other one.
Well, let's go through.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, this is Loyola. Something happened when it came into PowerPoint, but it's the same idea. I filled in the tuition and fees, room and board, which Loyola quite nicely, so they supplied all these numbers. So the cost of attendance for Loyola is almost $71,000 a year. I made a note on the form that says the scholarship and the grants are only good as long as the student lives on campus. Frequently, students want to move off campus in their junior year. So there's the scholarship money, the institutional grant. So this family will be required to pay $41,900 a year for Loyola. Then when you put it into this form, you can see that the $5,500 amount, which they took out of what you have to pay, is something you pay back. That's what I like about this form. I believe also the net cost for this looks higher than it was on the letter, because I added in, if you can scroll up, Claire, I added in those costs that were too tiny to read at the bottom of the letter for books and supplies, transportation, and personal expenses. So that's why it's a little higher. But now we have a net cost, and you're going to see, can you scroll down, Claire? You're going to see that for every student, they're going to get this $5,500 loan from the government to the student. And that's what I want people to understand, that that is not part of the gift to you. It is money you pay back. So this form, using this based on what the Department of Education has encouraged colleges to use, makes it much easier to compare things. Let's see, I think I answered, Sylvia, can you tell me if I answered your questions? We didn't know her EFC, so I answered that. The awards are renewable if you can, okay, she said yes. Thanks, Sylvia. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I love this form, Karen,
Yes.
because it breaks it out. You know, this is scholarships and grants, and this is wonderful.
It's gift. It's a gift.
It's a gift, and when they charge
1,000.
I mean, Brown University now is 82,000 a year. And as the Ivies increase the cost, all the other colleges will increase their cost. Even public institutions are raising their costs. And so it's got to stop somewhere, because private institutions can probably discount more. They can give bigger scholarships. You don't see a $20,000 scholarship at a public school. You just don't. But
Can you
do
show
see,
this?
Yeah. What would you like to show?
I wanted to show the other letters, because they were, I'll tell you, Coastal Carolina was a piece of work. I had to go to their website. Sylvia, I'm going to hold off on that question. That's a great one about scholarships.
I think this is Coastal.
Is that what I was showing?
Oh
no, wow, they really got messed up when they came in. Okay, well, this is Coastal Carolina, which has all right, Coastal Carolina, if you can look at the letter, can you go back to the letter? And I'll explain why I found this so difficult. Coastal Carolina had just a letter that was written as kind of a, like a letter. It wasn't any numbers pulled out. And so they didn't have the amount of tuition on the letter. They didn't have the room and board on the letter. I had to go to their website to find out what their tuition, room and board, and fees were. And they were broken down very nicely. But I mean, I was doing a lot of calculating to figure out what it cost to go to Coastal Carolina, which is a state school of South Carolina, right, Claire?
Yeah, it's a regional campus.
Yeah.
So they're actually, it's a little less expensive.
It's that one, that's one. Yeah, that's it.
College of Charleston. No. This is a Coastal.
Oh, no, that's Tampa. Maybe it's the next one.
Let me see.
There it is.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina. Let's make it a little larger. Yeah, yes. Coastal is, like, you usually pay more at the flagship public institution, like University of Maryland College Park will be more expensive than Salisbury or one of the other regional campuses. So here, the most expensive and selective school in South Carolina are Clemson and then University of South Carolina. But the satellite colleges like Coastal Carolina, Beaufort campus, State, all of those are less expensive.
Can you zoom in some more on that? We're looking at the whole view instead of just the slide, but can you see how this is written? It's written like a letter, I didn't have, so it tells us, this is kind of cool. It gives a 35% reduction off full-time tuition. And it says what the current value of the award is, $95.88 per academic year, and it's flexible. It adjusts to the annual full-time tuition rate, which is nice because, as I said before, you can count on it going up 3% a year. But there's nothing in the letter about what their costs are. So now if you could go back to that award, the college financing plan that I filled out. So as I said, I had to spend some time going to their website and finding out what is their tuition next year. At least they have next year's posted. Some of them still have last year's up. Had to go to find out what their fees were, find out the meal plans. So I think it would be, no, it's got a plain background.
Are you looking for the?
Coastal Carolina, it's the one.
Yeah, are you looking for the letter or the breakout?
The breakout.
Okay, yeah, let me just go there then. Hang on just 1 second. Yeah, that is.
So while you're looking for that, Sylvia asked what your thoughts are on outside scholarships. Kind of seems like a lot of effort and time and not a lot of return. I know I've recommended that people sign up for FastWeb or the scholarship search on College Board or CapEx, but been hearing IECs who've been doing this for a really long time saying that, I've never had anybody get anything from those. I like to tell parents to think about whatever kinds of connections they have. If you're a realtor, to your real estate company or the organization. If you're what blew me away with my daughter, you'll laugh at this, Mom, even though I can't hear you. I found out after my daughter had already been through Elon that she would have qualified for a scholarship from the Seabees because her grandfather was a Seabee in World War II, Seabee for Construction Brigade of the Navy. There is a scholarship specifically for grandchildren of Seabees. Well, I didn't know then what I know now, but if you can look with that kind of a lens and think about all your possible connections through your job, through your ethnicity, through military. And I think they even have a scholarship for people over 6'5". So my husband could have had a scholarship.
Well, Juniata College in Pennsylvania, Juniata College has a scholarship for left-handed people.
Oh, my daughter could have had that too. So anyway, here's Coastal Carolina, put it all together. It actually, I got the numbers off their website and took the numbers. Here's the scholarship from the college, the $95.88 a year. And then if you can scroll down, we'll see the out-of-pocket cost. Net cost for this is $31,131. That's including all the fees and stuff that I looked up. And there we go again. We see the federal direct loan. This family doesn't qualify for any subsidized loan. Their EFC must be higher. They qualify, the student qualifies for the $5,500, but none of the interest will be subsidized. So we're just about out of time, but Sylvia had asked what you think about these outside scholarships. Do you think the return is worth the investment of time?
Well, the outside scholarships can reduce any award that the college might give. So for example, my husband is a member of the Rotary in charge of the scholarship here in Charleston, South Carolina, which is where I live. And it's $2,000 a year. And the college can very well say, well, we gave you a scholarship for $9,588 and you have $2,000
So
from
they take-
outside. Now this will become 7,588.
There's
which
an
is what you have
article in,
to-
there's
Go
an
ahead.
article this week in Inside Higher Ed about that practice. That colleges, you get an outside scholarship. So like you just said, oh, you got $2,000 from the Rotary. Well, we're going to reduce what we're giving you. That's
It's-
not right.
It's so hard. I told my husband to go and appeal that with the financial aid administrator when the student was in the room, because they won't reveal any information to anybody else other than the student. So he persuaded the financial aid administrator to at least allocate the $2,000 to pay for books and supplies.
Okay.
And then I said to the girl, if you are downloading books on your iPad and they don't cost much anymore, if you can do that, and if there is a balance left at the end of the year, just go into the bookshop and buy all of the nicest sweatshirts, exercise pants, whatever. Just make sure you utilize it all, because it was pretty, this is a Pell eligible student.
Oh,
And for a student to take out $5,500, I would have rather that they would have given her a subsidized loan for $3,500 and apply this outside scholarship to the loan. But you really have to push for that, but it is appealable. And some parents are good with appeals.
Sylvia said unless they stack. So yeah, if they stack scholarships, then they're not going to deduct from what they've awarded you.
Yeah, you just have to be aware that a junior and a senior in high school is pretty busy, and to look for $500 from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or the Order of the Moose or something that awards $800 a one time only, that student is using up a lot of time to write essays, interviews, and everything. So I would say the guidance counselor at the local school probably knows which scholarships are pretty easy to get. Look there. Forget the national scholarships like the Coca-Cola scholarship or the Bill Gates scholarship. Forget it. There are millions of students applying for that. The thought is that if you looked under the right rock, there would be money. Not true. Not true at all. So let your child focus on studying in junior and senior year and just go after the scholarships that are doable.
Thank you. We're going to finish up because we're just about out of time. Sylvia wants to know, do you steer parents away from Parent Plus loans?
That's a decision for the parent. It depends on the risk tolerance that the parent has for loans. I do tell them to compare them with bank loans. Maybe they can get a business loan for less. However, the good part about it is that federal loans are very flexible in repayment. Right now, they're in a payment pause. The interest rate is frozen, so there is no accrual of interest rate from a year ago all the way to September 30th. Biden extended the deadline to September 30th. So you will never find a bank loan acting that way. You will never find such a good bargain in a commercial loan. But again, you may be more comfortable with a commercial loan. It also depends on how close you are to your retirement and how quickly you think you're going to repay it. And it's really a personal decision.
And I just want to emphasize, please don't take money out of your retirement to pay for college. That's not a good way to go. In Claire's book that is nearing publication, How to Control Your College Costs, she talks about creating with the family your AFC or affordable family contribution, and thinking about what your budget is, what you can comfortably pay And to also think about the fact that you're going to be paying this for 4 years if your student gets through in 4 years. If you have other kids coming up, you've also got to worry about them. The new FAFSA rule, we're hoping this changes, but it's going to be that you don't get your EFC cut in half if you have multiple students in college at the same time. If you have a brother and a sister in school at the same time, right now with FAFSA, your EFC gets halved. It's 50% to one student, 50% to the other. The changes to the FAFSA right now, it looks like they're not going to allow that anymore, but that's a ways off. So we need to wrap this up.
Yes.
I will email you the form, which is readily available. It's nothing I created. The only thing I created was the Word document from it. Thank you, Michelle, for being here. So I have everybody's email. I will send out the form from the government and the Word document that I created so that you can fill it out. And if you're real good with Excel spreadsheets, you could probably convert it into an Excel spreadsheet. Claire, thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love the fact that your mom was here and you had your colleagues and friends. It was fun to be here. Thank you for having me. And I wish everyone a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Thanks,
Bye,
y'all.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well,
I thought that was awesome.
Very awesome. We're a good team.
Yeah.
You had a lot to say, a lot of very good points there.
Oh, we got a chat. We got, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome, everybody. I bet, Mom, can you figure out how to get out? She's still, hey, Mom. You're going to go down, Mom. There's an end button in the lower right-hand part of the screen. Well, I guess it says leave on your screen. I'm the runner of it. So,
well, Karen, I feel like I need to leave because you've had a long day, but it's been just wonderful.
It has. I will edit it and get it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have one, so I'd love to be on your YouTube channel. I think that's
good. Let me allow Mom to talk.
Oh.
Hi, Mom. You can talk now. You have to unmute yourself. Can you figure? There she is. Unmute yourself. She doesn't know how, I bet. So go over to the left, lower left of the screen, and there's a microphone. Click on that to unmute yourself. We won't be able to see you.
Yes.
There you are. There's my mom.
Oh dear. I didn't want to be.
Oh, you can't be. Nobody else is here, Mom. It's just
nobody else, just us. It's
yeah. And we can't see you because it doesn't have the video, but we can hear you. So I wanted you to meet Claire.
I just want to tell Claire, you're a delight. and it's very nice that you speak slowly, and both of you do such a wonderful job.
Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Hott. It was so nice
call
to
me
hear.
Jackie.
Jackie, it's so nice to hear your voice.
Well, thank you.
So nice that you took the time to listen. I think Karen is just really, really a wonderful, wonderful person, and she's a great independent educational consultant.
Thanks, Claire.
She knows her stuff.
Well, we're very proud of her.
Yes, you can be very proud of her for sure.
Yeah. I just had, you know how on your phone things pop up, your photos from a year ago pop up. A year ago today, Mom and I were in Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
And then the next day she got deathly sick and I rushed her home to the hospital.
But I didn't have, oops.
You're fine. You didn't have COVID.
Well,
lost your picture, but
Oh,
I was all right. I didn't have COVID.
that's great. I got my first shot last week, and I'm going to get the second one at the end of March 31st. And
Oh,
did you get the
my
Pfizer?
doctor, yeah, my doctor didn't have any more vaccine, and I looked around, and a friend of mine said that Harris Teeter, the grocery store that has a pharmacy, had the Moderna vaccine. And so I booked myself. I went there. There was no wait.
oh,
Within
great.
minutes, I had my vaccine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's what I had was the Moderna.
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And did you have your second shot, Jackie?
Yes.
She
uh-huh.
did. She did.
Yeah.
Very
Got
nice.
your phone, Mom?
Yeah.
Bye-bye. I'm going to
Another-
end.
Okay. Nice being there.
Good seeing you.
Good seeing you too. Good talking with you, Jackie.
Isn't
Karen,
she
it was a
cute?
pleasure. She's
She
adorable.
I look just like her. I know exactly what I'll look like at 88.
Just need to look at our mothers, right?
Yep. This was great. I think it went really well, and I think they got something out of it.
Yes, it was good
Yeah.
that we answered their questions, because
Mhm.
it not only do they become clearer about it, but everyone else learns from that. It's more
Definitely.
interactive. And
So the one that was asking so many questions, Sylvia, she's in my group, my social media group. She's an IEC. She's up
Oh.
in New Jersey, I think.
she's an
and
IETA with ICA
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
HECA.
I think she's IECA. Yeah, she's in that group with Michelle Everard. Did you have Michelle in class? Do
She
you know
sounds
her?
familiar. I don't know.
She's very interesting, very accomplished people.
That's nice.
Anyway, we're all trying to grow our social media presence. So
Yeah, I have given up on that.
you don't need to.
I'm going to work on my book, and after that's done, I would like to take a vacation. I'd like to take the second shot and go somewhere, at least go out to a restaurant.
Yep, I'm going Sunday. I'm leaving for Florida. I
Oh,
was supposed to have my second shot this Saturday, and they called and said they can't do it. I have to do it the 17th. And I'm like, I'm going to be in Florida. I can't do that. So they're trying to figure out how to get me my second shot, but it'll
Yeah.
probably be after I get back. So,
well, they're saying if it's more than, what is it,
6
30
weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah, you can
That-
go up to 6 weeks
That,
between.
yeah, and that it's good to wait, because you're giving the first shot enough time to react, to have to create a reaction in your body.
Yep.
Before, and so it's not really very good to just go right after the 20 days.
Yeah, so I'll be in good shape.
Yes, you
Um,
will.
They just don't have the dates yet for that far ahead. So anyway,
I
this
think-
was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Let's do it again.
And did this work?
Yes.
That worked. I mean, we didn't have to say Claire, Karen. I still stepped on you a little bit, but
No, you did well. You did.
I was a little worried about the
A-okay.
time. Yeah, I think it's
I think
good.
we were awesome. Let's just, well, I can't have treats and chocolates, but I'll give you a hug.
Hug to you too. Thanks, Claire.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm so-